Enjoy, ladies. Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan Franzen.
I heard my first rendition of Little Drummer Boy at the airport this morning. It will not be the season's last. It's a very hot podium. If anybody's watching, you might want to take it down just a little bit. I'm not trying to make these Thank you all for coming out tonight. It's lovely to see so many of you, or to guess that you're there. The lights are very bright up here. I was in Miami over the weekend and got to do the book fair there. And now a taste of the Academy and the smaller town. It's a very sweet town and a great school. So it's really nice to be here. So, they said, do whatever you like here. I'm not going to take off my clothes and scream that I'm mad as hell. Can't take it anymore. All the block could cross my mind. So I thought rather than give a lecture, I do have a prepared lecture that I have given a few times, but I thought it would be more fun since I was told to do whatever I wanted, to actually read from my new book, Freedom. And at the end of that reading, which I will give a very short introduction, I'll be happy to take any questions there are in the audience, and I enjoy doing that. And I also enjoy signing books if anybody wants to have that done afterwards. So that's how I'm seeing the since I was told to do whatever I want, that looks like it's going to be the way it will be. It's a great microphone. Oh, and the name of this chapter, which I'm going to leave a few things out of just to move it along so we're not here all evening. The name of the chapter is Agreeable. I'm going to leave out the first paragraph first. Patty grew up in Westchester County, New York. She was the oldest of 4 children, the other 3 of whom were more like what her parents had been hoping for. She was notably larger than everybody else, also less unusual, also measurably dumber. Not actually dumb, but relatively dumber. She grew up to be 5'9½", which was almost the same as her brother, and numerous inches taller than the others. And sometimes she wished she could have gone ahead and been 6 feet, since she was never going to fit into the family anyway. Being able to see the basket better. Sorry, I have to stop here. The one thing you need to know about her, really the only thing you need to know about her, and you would have, if I read the first paragraph, you would know. So why didn't I read that first paragraph? I'm asking myself. The one thing you need to know about Patty is that she was a gifted student athlete. She was a standout athlete at the high school and college level, and particularly a basketball star. So sometimes she wished she could have gone ahead and been 6 feet, since she was never going to fit into the family anyway. Being able to see the basket better and to post up in traffic and to rotate more freely on defense might have rendered her competitive streak somewhat less vicious, leading to a happier life post-college. Probably not, but it was interesting to think about. Hattie's first memory, I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying, and it might have been, Ray, I can't believe this, I said, I'm going to come get you. Coach Nagel wants me to go to the hospital. Are you not all right? I already said I'm fine. Then just stay put and don't either of you do anything until I get there. Hattie hung up the phone and told Coach that her mother was coming. We're going to put that boy in jail for a long, long time, Coach said. Oh, no, Hattie said. No. We have some time and I can try to answer them in some less incomplete way. Joyce is a difficult writer. Joyce says this is like somebody that English departments were created to he needs, you can appreciate a lot about Joyce, but it sort of invites scholarship, and it's tricky, and it's difficult in places. Hard to read. And here he is at the cover of Time magazine, and I was noting that by the time I was writing that essay, the kind of person who was on the cover of Time magazine was people who were selling well. And somewhere along the line, the media, particularly Time magazine, had gone from reporting on the culture and sort of trying to create the culture, shape the culture. Like put James Baldwin on the cover. Like, hello America, you ought to know about James Baldwin. So it was sort of reporting. And by the time it was putting Stephen King and Scott Turow on the cover, nothing against those writers. They're wonderful writers in their own way. And as is every writer. No slight intent there, so why would I call for that? Because in the context of the argument I was making, I was saying the Time was sort of chasing after the culture at that point, and it was chasing after basically what was making money. That if Turow had not been a bestseller, he would not have been reported on. Because the dollar had become kind of the yardstick of what mattered. And there was just no way we put Baldwin or Joyce, possibly Virginia Woolf is on the cover as well, I'm not sure. When you put these people on the cover, it's clearly not because they're making tons and tons of money. Because we consider these important writers. So that was the context, and the context was particularly my dad actually had some idea who these writers like John Cheever and John Updike and Philip Roth were, not because he had ever read novels, which he didn't ever. He read Les Miserables, this younger man. And that remained for him like, well, I did it. I read that. That was so much knowledge for him. About a good man in an unjust world, and where everybody's pretty miserable. That was my dad's like, yes, that's the world as I know it, and he didn't really need to read more novels. But he read Time magazine, and so he actually knew who these people were. And he had some sense of, if I wanted to, I could actually buy a John Updike novel, I could read it, and I would then be participating in this culture. And it was sort of, I was lamenting the loss of that the whole notion that there was some things we could agree on. It's kind of important to be, talking about, and not just because they made $100 million, but maybe because why? That became an interesting question. So when it was somewhat embarrassing for them to be on the cover of Time magazine, we dissed it implicitly. Although I would note that my previous novel had been a bestseller, and well, I deny it. It made my publisher some money. So I don't think I was refuting my own argument by being on the cover. But the main thing I felt was incredibly sad because my dad had, no, seriously, I was glad for one strange reason. I was glad because that poor books department at Time Magazine hadn't had a cover in 10 years. And meanwhile, the same size department over, the tech department or the music department, they were getting covers, all the time. And here these book people working their heart out year after year, they never get a cover. And so I actually dealt with the editors and dealt with the writer like Grossman, and I was just so happy for them that they had made it happen. But I was really sad because my dad had been dead for 15 years by then, and I knew that short of being a write-in victor in a U.S. presidential election, there was literally nothing I could have done to impress him more than that magazine, and I was really brought up against just missing him. I miss my mom all the time. I don't miss my dad all that often, but I just wanted to say, hey, Dad. It was okay to be a writer.